Number one, BC. This was. I thought she was going to get it done. I did not know she was going to look this great doing it. Erin Blanchfield defeats Jessica Andrade via second round submission. Lots of things we got to get to on this one, BC. So first things first, how big of a victory is this?
It's massive. It really is. 23 years old, a division that used to be, hey, you're 2 good wins away from getting a title shot. Now that division's filling up. I mean, let's not sleep on that point. This is starting to become a competitive, well-rounded division. And what Erin Blanchfield did against one of the most dangerous customers in any weight class on the women's side was walk directly into the storm, take what Andrade had to offer, wear it, right? Shake it off, and stand in and deliver her striking to frustrate the more raw and limited opponent. But one, Luke, I felt like, which fueled my prediction, that if this fight had gone 3, 4, 5 rounds, look, Andrade never gets tired, never stops trying to win, is always dangerous. The fact that Blanchfield at 23 had the skills, mindset, the confidence, all that stuff that goes with that, to essentially say, I've got someone dangerous in front of me, so I'm going to take her out before she does the same to me. And you add in the speed of that trip takedown to going into side mount to taking the back, and getting that choke in before her legs had even, formed the body triangle around her waist, before the hooks were in, Luke. If you were an educated MMA observer, you would use that statement. This is as mature as it gets. And what's crazy is when we had Erin Blanchfield on the Room Service Diaries couch, we were openly, to her face, basically saying, you are so confident, so nonchalant, that it's almost as if, there's a level of naivety here that you're going to find out the hardest way possible. No, Luke, it was us who found out. And, this isn't an apples to oranges comparison, but one of my favorite calls in boxing history was when Manny Pacquiao moved up in weight and knocked out Miguel Cotto in the 12th round. And, the first 4 rounds of that fight were hellacious, but Pacquiao put it on him. And Larry Merchant afterwards said, we knew Pacquiao was great. He's better than we thought, it turns out. And, we knew Erin Blanchfield was very good. But, Luke, it turns out she's even better than we imagined coming in. And I think even with you having predicted her to win, is it possible you could have predicted it going exactly the way it did? Her absorbing hellacious bombs early, but staying the course, picking apart Andrade, frustrating her, and then taking her down and finishing her. We have a star on our hands, and she's 23 years old from Elmwood Park, New Jersey. Welcome, Erin Blanchfield.
Dude, I got to tell you, I texted this to you. You can tell the audience if I'm lying or not. I texted it to you. Dude, I loved this win from Erin Blanchfield. Not merely because of its significance, right? Beating someone who's a former champion, frankly, rather thoroughly. I mean, it was back and forth on the feet, certainly at points in the first round. But in general, this was, I won't call it one-way traffic, but this was decisive, right? This was decisive. But here's what I love about this fight. Dude, she went right to center and put a jab right in Andrade's face from the word go. No glove touch. And then when she took her down with authority. And what did she do? She didn't wait for the position to settle. She didn't catch her breath. She moved right into side control. And then from there, obviously, she took the back. Like, no hesitation. I'm going to get right in your face. I'm going to put a finger in your chest, at least metaphorically speaking, and I'm going to let you know exactly what time it is. She let Andrade know from the word go what kind of fight this was going to be. And Andrade is certainly not there to lay down, nor did she, right? She put it back on her a little bit, as I mentioned, in that first round. There were some things, I think, that Erin Blanchfield was going to want to do differently next time against any kind of puncher. This was not a flawless performance in that sense. But the spirit of the attack that she brought, to say nothing of the tools that she used and how fairly refined they looked, BC. She looked like an experienced fighter in there, but
Dude,
one with this youthful
Luke, talk
exuberance.
about that the footwork and the accuracy in the boxing. I didn't see that before in her previous fights on that level. I did not.
She didn't have to show it. She told us on that RSD couch it was like that, and then we were like, yeah, it's. I'm sure that she believes that, but we just have to see proof before that's true. There you go. There you go. Now, of course, she did get into trouble in a little bit of spots. She got caught with like the double right hands, certainly at points moving into them. but in general, the jab was great. The lateral movement was great. She was turning Jessica. That was great. All of that was great. And it wasn't anything super flashy, just good timing, good distance, good setups, and obviously some pretty decent pop herself. She was stinging Jessica with some of those shots. But then, to mix it up and to show, we already knew she was a ground threat. My Lord, she is a very lethal, quick, and decisive ground threat when she wants to be. But I just want to make everyone I want everyone to know she faced a former champion who is probably the most physical fighter maybe in all of women's MMA. I mean, that's not the craziest thing to say. And got right in her face from the word go. No hesitation. She might have had fear, but she didn't act like it. People talk about what athletic courage looks like.
Yeah.
It looks like that.
Well, Luke, I think the most important part about that, because she got tagged a bit. I mean, you mentioned it, but particularly after she landed that first jab to open round one, she got hit with a right cross that was, the kind of punch that Andrade changes the tenor of the fights with, and it didn't change a thing. So Blanchfield, you heard the comment afterwards about how hard Andrade hits, and in the future she doesn't want to get hit like that. But her ability to not sell the pain or anything that goes with Jessica Andrade standing in front of you and loading up was the key part, because I think the second biggest punch she got hit with was the one in the second round right before she got the trip takedown. So maybe that was sort of the onus she felt in that sequence, that I can't let her get any more of these because it's gonna put me in a bad spot. But look, to not even sell an ounce of what those punches were doing, what they could do, what the buildup of fear is like when you finally face a big time puncher and you go, oh, okay, this is what can happen. Dude, how many fighters would have altered their game plan, would have had a tell, would have shown some type of weakness that Andrade could jump on? Dude, Blanchfield shut those doors down in her demeanor and how she followed up with strikes. Did you see that one sequence at the end of the first round where she frustrated Andrade so much by darting in and out, using footwork and angles, that Andrade started going into full-on berserker mode, which is the mode she entered in when Zhang Weili knocked her out to win the title in China a few years ago. She completely bamboozled that, one of the greatest fighters in women's history, who is a knockout threat across 3 divisions, a former champion, a former title challenger at multiple weight classes. And, end of the day, like you said, not completely one-sided, but the frickin' ease that she went from 0 to finish. Even after the dominations of Miranda Maverick, of Molly Meatball, the win against Aldrich in between. Dude, there are levels to this. So when we got Erin on the couch and she's like, yeah, Valentina, bring her on. I wasn't sitting here saying, does Erin not have the skills? But how does a 23-year-old girl who who grew up taking recreational Taekwondo, how do you just come into this level, this stage, and just walk in like it doesn't bother you? Luke, intangible wise, toughness, the way she's wired, Erin Blanchfield is different. And I can't believe, just a couple months later after we sat down with her, if she's going to fight Valentina Shevchenko next, which is, a nice spin-off debate we can have in terms of who's next in this division and what this win actually means, I think a lot of us are going to be giving her a chance. And even after the Meatball Molly domination, would you have said that, Luke? Would you have said that she has a chance at upsetting Valentina Shevchenko and being the champion? I know I needed this performance, but even with this performance, I can't believe that we're here.
Yeah, I would have said that she had a chance, just not a great one. And now I put up a poll, and these are unscientific to be very clear, but I put up a poll on Twitter yesterday. It's been up for about 12 hours, maybe even more than that, maybe closer to 13 or 14. I don't know the math, but a while at this point. And it's split at, here's what I wrote. Erin Blanchfield will be the one to take the UFC flyweight title from Valentina Shevchenko. That's the statement, right? Do you think that's a true statement or a false statement? It's roughly 50-50, but with a ever so slight lead for 50.7 to 49.3 for that being a false statement for the people who took my poll. But still, the fan base is pretty evenly split, BC. So let me just ask you, let's say that obviously the Grasso fight is next for Shevchenko. What chance do you give Grasso? Do you give Blanchfield a better one? And ultimately, how real of a threat is Blanchfield to Shevchenko?
I give her a better chance than Alexa Grasso. And that comes down to styles it all, look, Grasso's, she's competent on the ground, but I think her boxing is her calling card and her ability to stand in there. The problem with somebody like Shevchenko is she's just too perfect as a counter striker in terms of positioning, in terms of accuracy. I mean, everything that comes into that, she's scientific. But obviously, the Taila Santos fight opened up our eyes and, doubled down on what we learned in the Jennifer Maia fight, which is that Valentina can be human against the right style. Well, against Taila Santos, we straight up had a scoring debate over whether Valentina should have still been the champion and whether they should have ran back an immediate rematch. So, Luke, yeah, I give Erin Blanchfield because if there's any hole in Valentina's game, or hole would be the wrong word. I guess it would be more of, where are there areas where she's a little bit more human than she's not? I wouldn't say outright her wrestling, because look at what she did against Jessica Andrade. I mean, that was eye-opening, the level of domination where she purposely took Jessica down at will and then she crucifixed her. It was dominant. But you're not going to do that to Erin Blanchfield. And what kind of success can Blanchfield have in the grappling department against the great champion? The fact that we now know that Erin is not likely to break mentally, and there are levels to breaking mentally, by the way, Luke. There are, oh crap, I'm getting dominated. Let me go into fight or flight. Either I'm going to just try to survive or I'm going to force myself into getting knocked out. There's different levels to that, but, Erin Blanchfield can carry out a game plan. She's confident. She doesn't waver in the face of adversity. So is she a legitimate threat for this world title no matter who has it next? 100%.